Okay, she just told me that mic unmuted, and I was just checking some final things here. I need to check let's give a view of okay, of my scene here. I'll try and get out of the camcorder view. And so good morning to everyone, or afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. How's my mic level? I mean, she told me I'm unmuted. I see audio here. Appears that we have a few people in chat already. And no, these aren't my pajamas. Just a long sleeve shirt that my wife got me yesterday. One of two. And I don't have my in fact, my sweatshirt is going all over my IBM sweatshirt. It's a little too warm for that right now. Me moving stuff around. I should have got my webcam and some other stuff set up. Okay, good to hear that it's fine. I know that there's a little bit of delay to chat to when I say something. Yeah, yeah, I know it's different times all over the world. People are in afternoon time frames now. It's morning for me. It's just after 10 a.m. in the morning, my normal time for a live stream. This is a very good time slot, I think, for me. I think it's maybe a little bit too early for the West Coast people sometimes, or further west, till you get to the Dateline. But so we're gonna go through. I mean, I was last verifying some. I haven't verified that the diskette drive, the 720 KB diskette drive, on the Mul 25 that's facing away from the screen, but I do have that up on video capture that I can switch over to. And I haven't verified that. I'll stick a diskette in it. I've copied over or I was getting ready to copy over some of the programs. Okay. So and this is funny that this is actually a starter diskette, and I have 3 of them here. I was just interested. No, okay, excuse me. I'm looking at the C drive. Helps me if I know where I'm looking, huh? Oh, and then we're gonna get caught into this big old drive in it when I do the directory contents. So I want to look for. I don't need to give it the little slash, but let's look through. So I'm looking. Okay, so it's receive v35.com. I don't know what that. Okay, the decopy is copying the diagnostic diskette. So yeah, that's and retromails. That's connected to the Mul 25. I was looking for a second keyboard since I have my primary on the Mul 30, and I found a mostly clean SSK, and It's a Space Saver keyboard. And so I cleaned it up a little bit. Still, I could clean a little more, but that'd be Q-tips. So the first link I'm going to put in there, and the thought is that I'd like to get some files over to the Mul 25, to the hard drive there. I've got on my Max Mul 30, I've got the I've got that 1 gigabyte drive on there. So I'm set as far as programs and things like that. And it's got a 1.44 megabyte drive that looks like it's running good, everything else. And then that's an upgrade from the 720 KB that would normally be on the Model 30. And the first link I put up there is what I'm going to look at as a way to transfer files rather than going by in fact, let's go through, let's get me off the, let's get the that down. You also see it, if you looked over my shoulder before the before I took myself off the screen, you'll spot actually there's a 122 key keyboard off to the far right over here, just off this camcorder screen, but it's visible on my webcam, and that's actually connected to the open-faced 3489 that I have here, and I actually have my AS400. That's a 9406-170 or an I series AS400. And it's getting warm enough now. In fact, I need to brush off all the dirt for the inlets and everything else. That's running. I had that powered up actually just to keep the place a little bit warm out here. And it's warming up enough now that I can probably go through and shut down not just to have it running. And then the Ethernet switch is on that's here. And then that 3489 terminal there is on right now as well, just without any video output over to anywhere. But all that stuff's operational. And so I've got some other stuff stacked around, real busy bench. I need to get my other studio set up because I'll have a little bit more room to spread out. And so what I'm doing right now, and so the Mul 25, the only thing connected to it really, I've got a mouse that's here. I've got the space-saving keyboard. I have my video capture out, even to get where when the screen is facing away, I can switch over to that to show that. And then I have, like I said, the keyboard and mouse. And then I've got all these ports. I have the ability to go through and connect up the 3869 drive that's connected up to the Mul 30. I have my SCSI CD-ROM that's connected up to the Mul 30. I don't have any sort of SCSI interface on the Mul 25. Both slots are filled by that AST 6-pack plus that's in here. And that has a real-time clock chip on it, the same style as the Mul 30. I have the 4869 adapter that's on there. Like I say, I can go through and switch this to the system if that diskette drive on the front fails. And I'll find out if it's live in just a moment here. And then the link I put up is actually for the data migration facility. And that is, I'll pull out the parts here because this is going to be the way that I think I'm going to transfer data over to the Mul 25 from the Mul 30. And this was done, you have a standard printer cable. In fact, I can set that up there. And there was a IBM had a program, and I don't actually, I do have the box. I can peel all that up. In fact, oh, I even have a diskette there that probably has the needed program on there as well. So this is the data migration facility. I got this all for, in fact, they had quite a few, all for $10 USD back when. I don't know if that date is actually probably authentic there, of 09/15/91, meaning the 15th of September 1991, for when this is priced, and I probably got it soon afterwards, about that time frame. Actually, I was just finishing up my service in the U.S. Navy. In September, I was actually coming back over from the Middle East back into the United States at that time frame. I can't remember when in September that I did. But, and then this is the face that you'll recognize. This piece is what we put on this block is what we put on the Mall 25. In fact, I have to see, I guess that pin is missing by, hopefully by default. Hopefully I haven't lost a pin there. And that would be pin numbered left to right, 11, maybe, I think. So, and this would go, everything, if everything works, and as it marks, it's got the send program on the 5¼ inch diskette. And I want to do the parallel port link between the Mall 30 and it's sending out data to the, and this is kind of the, an old version of a sense of lap link, or, and it's actually parallel port connection. And like I say, I hope, I don't think I've abused this, data migration facility too much. So I think that pin was probably off of there. And this is a, I mean, I don't have to tighten up thumb screws, but that's, wow, that's, do I have my, yeah, I have all my retaining screws and everything else. That's kind of a tight fit on the Mall 25. It goes over the, yeah, there I get that other side locked in. And so what I'll need on the Mall 25 is the receive program that's on all the starter and reference diskettes. This receive, recv35.com is on the starter diskettes. And there's the Mall 30 starter diskette, one of the originals. That's the version 1. I think I have, that's version 1. I think I have version 1.02 or something like that in the drive. And then, so I can drop that over to the Mall 25 here in a moment. And then you have the send program on this diskette. And I think it's also on this blue diskette that I had around too. And I'll have to read and check that. And so I just have some stuff kind of piled up here. And I'll go through and get things connected. And this is just the preliminary, copying files over that I want to for the, yeah, I hope my DMF is not damaged, because I don't have another one. And I plan to do, in fact, there's a pinout on that page too of the data migration facility. And I apologize too, because I meant to have, I realize I'm off screen again. I'm looking over my pinout here, and pin 11. Okay, so the good thing is, if you look at that pinout on that page I linked, it doesn't show, and there's some loopbacks there, but it doesn't show the pin 11. So I might be good. That's straight from the manual. And I mean, if I were quick on my keyboard and everything else, I could put the image up and everything else. I should be doing that anyway. But people can go to the page and look at that just to kind of see what that pinout is, and it has instructions in that page. And I'm doing that to transfer over the IO port read programs. I think that's going to be the easiest way, rather than just falling back to diskette. So this might be more of a demonstration of the data migration facility, actually. And okay, so you don't really probably want to see a whole bunch of my backside here. Do that. Put some wire ties, and I'm guessing this parallel port cable should be effectively new as well. I'm kind of doing a blind connection for the parallel port that's way back here. And I could also I want to try the Palm Zip driver. And that is supposed to work on the level of the 8086 or the V30 CPUs I have for a driver for the iOmega zip drive, like a parallel port model. And probably do mouse on top there. And let's just snake this around. And like that, we can even do the clips. So there we have our link between the model 25 and 30 and that parallel port cable. Yeah, and I want to do, even if my data migration facility dongle is fine, I want to go through and just make a straight cable, parallel port cable. And I of course have other parallel port cables, but with that pinout I could go through and do it. But I just wanted to demonstrate the data migration facility. And so c35.com. Okay, so we're going to go through and we're going to do a control break. Oh, or did I maybe give it a little bit of time to think here? Did I disturb you enough that I need to go through and do a reboot? Fine, we'll do a reboot. Okay, so let's go through, as that's restarting. Let's see. Okay, because I wanted to copy Okay. I just wanted to get the files on the system here. Copy a .com. Okay. And in fact, let me see. I want to see if it's on this diskette. I think it is. I think I copied that way back in the day. No. I want to still do A. Okay, so I have both programs on there. That's excellent. Okay. And then I was verifying that I already have I've got the copy 3.5, and that's the sending file. Then the receive 3.5 is the receiver. So let's go through. I can copy from either as it is, but let's go through and let's do it from the B drive just to show a little bit exercise on the. And so that's on 5.25 because IBM expected that you'd have an older system with a 5.25-inch drive and even the 360 KB format, that you had to get diskettes, the contents of diskettes, over to the 3.5-inch. So okay, and so as a test, and this is a double density diskette. Let's go through and let's see. Okay, blind insert into the Mall 25. Okay, so this is just booted. We've got that AST. And so what I can do here is I'll get back on the screen, webcam, and we're going to do a directory. Oh, get on the right keyboard. And I got this, I had the space saving keyboard just for that purpose. I'd actually be able to remember which keyboard that I had in hand at the moment. Okay, so that is going to be a bust. And that's why I planned otherwise to and I thought about even going through on the Mall 25 to I've got my little go-to drive. I guess I have to get on the right the right screen. This is a 34 pin. It's got power on the data connection. This is my go-to drive, the 1.44. I could see if this works on the Mall 25. I guess would be an exercise too, if it were open. But I'm gonna have to go through and effectively get, and that's the sending. I wish that this 720 KB drive would work because I'm going to go through And I've got another 720 KB drive that I should have checked this earlier. Because I don't think I have the oh, the D on this one's going to be a little bit finicky too, huh? Because I don't have the receive program on here. Let's go through and on. I'm just going to list for my. Okay. Some key stuck down. So we're going to go through. I'm going to find out if I can write over. Okay, let's go through. Get my sources straight. Okay. So I'm going to go through and find out if this is write protected or not on the diskette here. And we're going to transfer over. Okay, so, okay, Jesse, if you're checking out, that's fine. Well, I try and have a way to get through things. In fact, I'm going to go through for the phase difference. We're going to turn that off. And I'm looking back over at the Mall 30. I'm going to go through and I'm going to go through and copy the receive 3.5. Yeah, I got it on the hard drive now to the B. Okay, so that's write protected. So wow, I may even have to go through and pull out. I have other disk. This is probably even a. This may even be high density. Okay, let's just do a abort. Okay, blank disk, most excellent. So we're going to copy both programs off that we just copied over. In fact, let's do this. Copy A. Since I already got them on my A drive, to B. Okay, so going through, 2 files copied from my A drive to my B drive. We're going to go through. I'm going to, and of course, I'll have to power cycle the Model 25 after this. But next, we're going to go through, and it's good long cord. I'll have to go some cable routing. Yeah, this is all... Well, I can try and go through. Probably be good to get this. And I don't want to go through and blindly connect this to the Mall 30 later on. Have all those connections on back, and going through and connecting these things on blind is kind of a challenge sometimes. Okay, good long cable to the 4869. Now, I'm set up for this too. Let's go through. In fact, right before I switch over from the camcorder, this is the 4869-001 adapter. It's in the Mall 30 and also the Mall 25. That's what's connected. The 4869 drive is connected to there. And it has a ROM BIOS extension, very little code on that. And it just patches through to the, this is a Mall 30 cable. And you have the planar connection on the bottom end. This is the A drive connection. And you have, if there's a 3.5 inch B drive, it's connected here. Otherwise, this has all the folds and everything else in it. And you can see the part number there. Okay. And it goes through for the folds the other way and connects into the 4869 right in the right position in the riser slot. So you have both the A and B drive that's passed through, and then the ROM extension, of course, sets it up for the 5 1/4. It recognizes that format. So we're going to go through. We're going to get switched over to. Now I could do. I mean, I could go through, and it maybe be better to do a cold boot from this. I got to get the. I go through and I got the. I'm having to flip on and off my oh, you're here for the duration. That's good to hear. Here for all my hopefully I'm moving forward in a consistent manner. So we've got switched over to the Mall 25. I'm going to just do a warm boot. And we should see the, I realize the camcorder's out of view. I can go through and kind of show the aspect of, so it should have, on warm boot, it should have gone through and effectively, you know, enabled and found that B drive. So we can go through and do a directory of our B drive. And bam, we're there. We got files over to the system. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a copy B and a dit to my hard drive. Oh, let's retry. Oh, come on. Okay, so can you copy the and I guess I need to give that a B drive designation. So We need to get our oh, you're just gonna okay, so here's what we're gonna do next. I'm gonna cold boot the Mall 25. And I'm hoping I don't have to recopy I'm hoping I don't have to recopy the diskette, but I can do that if needed. And so we're going to try something else too. Okay, so I'm booting. And this is really common too, where you can get a directory, but you can't copy files sometimes. Okay, so we want to copy b dit again. Okay, so what we're going to do next here, abort, okay, we're going to say format B. Okay. I don't really care for it saving the unformat information. Okay. And we're even have trouble formatting. I was thinking I was going to go through and format the diskette and then try and recopy over. And so I'm already I'm getting yeah, /u, correct. I'm already getting into close to 40 minutes after the live stream, and that's just me messing with things and trying to get to where okay, so what's the directory of this? I think I may go through if it involves anything more if it involves anything more to the copy process, I'll just probably go through and do the Mall 30. And I'm not really set up the best for that either. The IO port stuff that I was wanting. So you're just having okay. Okay. So let's jumble our screens around again. Come on. Okay, there we go. So this is a brand new box. And I think that these should be if they're double density, they should be the 360 KB. And it's even got the little pull lead here, the little string, the pull tab where you pull. Well, if I could get it. And this is a different material. So you go through and you pull. Well, it looks like that's failing too. Yeah, you pull the and it got to the label, and that was thicker, of course, so it had trouble. But you went there and pulled that little string, and it separated the bottom off like that. Shrink wrap. Let's go through and see what the Model 25, because this is a working, that's a working 3869 drive. There's not any, I don't know why the Model 25 would be misreading that. Okay. So a directory of B again. Wow. So we even have trouble with this B drive connected up to the Model 25. So this thing is otherwise what I got in the hard drive, but other than that, it is unreachable. And so I'll have to go through and look at the 4869 card and everything else should be fine in there. But I'll have to check that out later. I'm not going to go through and waste a whole bunch of time. Let's go through, get switched over that. Let's go through, get me switched off of that. So, and I really don't have to, but I'm going to go through and reconnect. I was hoping to transfer over files like that, and all we need is that one little program that received 3.5, and we'd have it. And then we'd be able to copy over files over that parallel interface from there. Okay. And I'm actually going to go through. Okay, and I said I didn't want to connect this blind. So this live stream has been just the thought of copying over, trying to copy over. Okay, we're good with that. We're going to swap one other cable because we want to do the video capture. To the Mol 30. I need just switch boxes. I need to run just have some switch boxes and some cables if I had multiple systems up as a way to show. Okay, so we're going to go through. Why is my okay? We're going to check that, and we're going to switch. We're going to go through, check the diskettes, powered up, and we're going to do a Control-Delete there. Let's get over to, and I wanted to do a side-by-side comparison of the Model 30 and Model 25, but I guess we can just do it on Model the Model 30 now. Okay. So let's get in. I wanted to go through, and this is one of the programs I wanted to copy over. The I/O port reader. Okay. Okay, and I'm aware that some of the displays that you want to look at it are at the very bottom of that. It doesn't show the very bottom of the screen for the video capture that I'm in. When I'm on my background monitor, it does very good. And that's why I was thinking with the Model 30, I could go through and I could go through and have it on the monitor in the back. So yeah, I'll never understand the struggle of me going through and having the PS2s on the diskette drives it's just crazy. Probably what I'll go through and do is since the A drive on that Model 25 is acting up, I'll go through and try my other drive as well as I've got a spare 720K B drive that I have pulled that I'll go through and try. And so the first IO port thing that we'll look at that I've referred to in the past, if we go on the column, the row 0060, and we go underneath the 5, we have that 9A is the equipment, basically the planar functions that are in that particular register. And so as I've gone through on prior videos and shown, that has where I'm not using the MCGA that's on the planar. I've got the VGA. In fact, I was looking, where can I do, because I was wondering, that was the primary image that I wanted to show. And of course, I've gone through and I've scanned the Model 30 Tech Ref. And so do I need to get, I know where I had the, okay. I actually had a SIF post on the news group. It showed, okay. And that doesn't give me, okay. Do I do a 65 hex? There we go. Oh, okay. I forgot to include the, okay. So I'm going to do a link. And I want to do, this is to the SIF news group. And that talks about and has a picture. Okay. Do I do a print screen? And I do when I do a print screen, then I get all my YouTube notifications that have built up. Okay, my first screen capture of the day. Let's get this over to an image. I want to go through and select. And let's do a crop and a save as. And we'll do a 30. Okay. Okay. So on our image display, 30 port. Okay. Move that down. In fact, I'll move that to a comparable place just to the right there. Okay. I'll keep it at that size. Okay, so there's the to the right of the 9A reference in that upper left-hand corner of the image I just put up on the display. I've got that's the bits of that byte that's there at 65 hex for that IO port register. And if you decode it, MCGA videos off and hard drive controller is off. I've got the diskette controller on. I've got the parallel port select on for that A value. And then for the high order bits, I've got the 9, which would be the parallel port. Output enable is on. The 2 reserved bits of 6 and 5 are zeros. And then the serial port select is on. So that's a 9 for those high order bits, A for the low order bits of the diskette controller and parallel port select, but the MCGA video and hard drive controller being off. Yeah, I'm not maintaining the diskettes drives probably the way I should. And I'm not troubleshooting them too much. A lot of time I'm just swapping them out. I need to get into more of a diskette drive recovery and do that in video to show how to get through those things. So I'm going to go through. I'll move the that little port thing, and so and the other thing to recognize is the generic text over in the right hand column where I've now moved that image. That is just the UNPC has got generic values for an AT compatible system in there. Keyboard and flags effectively on the MAL 30 is just that port IO port 66 hex, which is that A4 value. And that's the one that tracks if you reverse the keyboard and mouse connections. So I meant to show that. As I said, I need to be a little bit more prepped for this. And then I'm not going to get into the MCGA video IO ports. There's a lot of them. And I went through, of course, and I scanned the tech ref. And I have that on the MAL 30 page now. There's the tech ref for the MAL 30. And it has extensive stuff on a lot of these IO ports, even the diskette drive stuff that I could go through and probably troubleshoot a little bit. But that is from the MAL 30 page. And some of this information, I mean, you can find the link to the tech ref on the Model 30 page, but I want to go through and actually populate a little bit more information on some of the IO ports as well. There's the MUL 30 page, including a link to the tech ref. And the other angle, and this is not going to be on the MUL 25, although it's going to be on the MUL 30, that last row there that's showing that 00E0 and those values are turning over. That's the real-time clock. And it has that row marked system control, of course, over on that right-hand column, but that's the real-time clock on the MUL 30. And it does that whole row of IO ports. And what I was hoping to show is, since I've got the AST 6-pack plus on the MUL 25, I was wanting to run the IO port reader there because it has that real-time clock, the same chip at another IO port range. And I wanted to compare those values side by side. And the diskette copy thing prevented that, but we'll get it done. And so that's the kind of the IO ports that I was thinking on covering for this live stream, or wanting to start going through and document a little bit better. Now, there's a good link from the and it goes a little bit it goes into the IO port 66 hex and goes into the real-time clock ports. But the link from the MUL 30 page is to Vogon's page. I'm including that link in the chat right now. And that has some great information from an MK Archer on Vogon's. And we need to identify who that is. I need to, for credit, for going through and even this is back in 2020, October of 2020. And I'd like to even go through and establish contact with whoever this is to track a little bit farther and just to kind of suss it out a little bit further of what these IO ports are. Now, on that Vogon's page, MK Archer actually states for that 0040 row, we have those first 3 bytes doing some turnover, and the claim is that that is part of the real-time clock as well. I don't necessarily believe that. I think that that's actually system timer functions that are there. And in fact, that's why I wanted to look at this, at the, oh, did he? Or did they? I guess I don't want to attach any genders. Or anything like that, but I will be interested in looking through my messages to see the and it's, I actually have a side that uses a different email address for comments that are made on YouTube, are sent to as kind of a secondary address that I don't check as frequently. And it's kind of bad there. Just the notifications and everything else. So-and-so commented, so-and-so liked, etc. for my YouTube notifications. And so it's a chance I miss it there, but that's good to know. Thank you. I'll go through and look, because I wanted this morning, I wanted to go through and look at the MUL 25 with this IO port reader and look at that 0040 just to figure out, because the MUL 25 doesn't have the same real-time clock chip. And if those same 3 bytes are turning over, then it's system timer functions. It's not the real-time clock functions. And the real-time clock functions are really strange because IBM went through and they set up like that 00E8 on the IO port chart there, has that C0 value in there for being the Century 2000. It's actually I think it's 1 or 2 bits in that register is what does it, and it's an odd or even sort of thing. If it's even, it is, in other words, the century 2000, it's C0. If it's odd, in other words, being 1999, or excuse me, 1900 for the century, um, it is the F0 value. Just an odd and even value as far as how, yeah, okay, 6 days ago, it gives me a little bit of timeline that I know where to look then. That's excellent for me going through. And I just wanted to go through, I mean, I'm doing a little bit of more study on the IO port registers that are unique to the MUL25 and MUL30. Of course, we're only seeing the MUL30 here with the real-time clock. We're not seeing the MUL25 without the real-time clock. And it's got that AST clock as an add-on. I need to look through my MUL25s too, as I haven't found a the particular unit that I had that had actually had the real-time clock interposer that you put in a raw EEPROM socket or ROM socket, and I had a MUL25 that had the real-time clock module. It's just a pass-through. You put your ROM chip on top of it, one of the 2 ROM chips, and it had the driver and everything else for this little interposer of the real-time clock on that MUL25. So it was kind of cool. And as I've said before, really for the MUL25s, if they go through and they boot up over the to an I-class system, you don't need to worry about a real-time clock because it goes through and gets all the time stuff from that server, from that I-class server. And so they're a nice little client system, especially like schools for the kids, that they could go through and just power up the unit and it would boot over to that I-class server. It would get them into a menuing or whatever areas that they need to go through for their school work on the client MUL25. So I'll look through on that and look through my past YouTube messages and things like that. I don't know why I didn't see that. And go through and see if I can start some correspondence and go through and give credit where credit is due and things like that. Because we always are looking for more information on the Ardent tool. So Major Tom, he's been one of the things that he's done recently, and I'll probably go through and advertise this around the EduQuest Ethernet adapter, and this also goes on the 25SX. He's populated that page. I just provide the link there, and so I need to get back into, in addition to the MUL25 that I have there, I need to get back into the EduQuest stuff again as well. When we talk about ROMs and things like that, I want to go through and do some content on the ROM DOS that's on those EduQuest units. Boot to that ROM DOS on the system and see all what to it. And that's supposed to be MS-DOS 5.0. And just to look at what exactly that is and look if it has, see if even there's the ROM basic that's in there at some form or anything like that as well on the system. So that's a little bit of the channel intentions that I'm wanting to do coming up. And I've had a couple people ask, and of course, they're going through and they're providing content. My angle there is, and they've prompted me if I've got EduQuest systems. And since those people are going through and helping me contribute in particular angles, there are 2 individuals, and I'll go through and we're going to get them an EduQuest functional system that they can go through and work with to help them. And I know I'm going to get all kinds of requests now. Hey, you've got EduQuest. Can I get one too? But I'm going to go through and do that just as my channel going through and helping others out there. They've helped me for some of these angles. So it's too bad we got caught in the diskette drive copy muddle here for this stream. I should have gone through. I only pulled the Model 25 out yesterday, and I didn't check very much further. And it'd have been great if I could have copied over files and things like that to it. But maybe that's smaller videos. As I get the things working, I can go through and describe the data migration facility and get things set up on that hard drive of the Model 25. The hard drive works, and that's one of those proprietary hard drives that's on there too. I could have gone through by debug. I could have gone through and shown particular I/O ports as well, but I like the full screen I/O port reader a lot better for going through. And this is the patch version that Major Tom did. We saw the original version that Frank Van Gillowy had with the UNPC book. If you go through and you exclude any I/O ports, it will, in fact, page down and page up goes through the pages here. I want to see if there's any excluded. Yeah, there's a range of excluded ports. So what that did on the unpatched version is any port, any single I/O port that you'd exclude, it would cascade by one of the later I/O ports. It would offset all that. So it was really kind of bad because it would go through and just mess things up really bad. And so Major Tom went through and he corrected that. In fact, it'd be interesting to see for this. I haven't really gone through and looked, but the MCGA video ports, which may be those like that 03C0, some of those yeah, some of those changing is probably the MCGA video. I guess I could go through and I could even hide that if I wanted to. Let's stick it right there. It's fine. And so, and I haven't really dived into that. I don't know. There's some MCGA pages that are planned that, and then of course the tech ref manual covers all those video I/O ports. That is ultimately further discussion here. So we did have a chance to kind of address some of the I/O port angles here on the Model 30. This is a little bit more technical delvings that I wish I was a little bit more prepared ahead of time of copying over files and having the right files on there. But as you know, my channel is an exercise, and if I'm going to do things, and if I encounter problems, I just show those on video, and I show how I try and get through them, route around them, or have a plan B, as it was said, to handle that. And it's just all my plan Bs in this case didn't work, and I can't figure that out. I have a known good 4869 adapter, excuse me, the drive and adapter is good, and I can't figure out why that going through that, just connecting up to the Mall 25, it suddenly failed to read good diskettes. And I could have gone through, I guess I could have formatted, I could have tried to format that new diskette, because it could be that these are unformatted. And that could have been a reason why it didn't read it or whatever else. So maybe that's the thing to do, is to go through. I don't know how much longer people want to kind of stick through on this, as I've gone through, and I could have been a little bit more prepped with having some images and things like that on how these IO port registers are set up. I wanted to do that in particular on the real-time clock, because, and those diagrams will actually go up on the Mole 30 page in the end. And so just as a kind of a little bit more way of understanding things. So I guess I can probably even open up for question and answer. We've gone over the hour of that I normally have for the live stream, but then again, like last weekend, my last live stream went for 3 hours, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I was glad to see that my Anchor headset kept up with that length of time for the live stream. And you know, that's not locked into any time for these live streams. It's just I roll with that as well. If it seems like it's rolling pretty good, I just keep with it. But I understand people, and I unwrapped my breakfast on, you get a chance to eat it. That I understand that people have their lives to move on to after and there's other streams that are going to be later here, that I'm sure that are going to be happening as well. Serial via assist method. Well, it's parallel, so it should effectively be a little bit faster, just the parallel nature, and it's very rudimentary. Of course, the lap link over parallel, and or even the serial connections of doing some of the error corrections and other things in there. This is very simplistic thing from IBM when it came out with the PS2s being on having that 3.5-inch diskette drive, that was their mechanism, that they felt that you could go through and you could copy over from an older system, even down to the level of a PC or XT, over to the PS2 series, and they included that receive file on every reference diskette and starter diskette out there, that I've seen at least. And even though the data migration facility was not really a big thing necessarily, or didn't seem like it was that people bought and used a lot. I don't know what the pricing on that was either. The place where I bought that $10 data migration facility, I think I bought that in Phoenix. There's a place that was on Thomas Road in Phoenix, Computer Surplus Place, and they had a shelf, and they just had them. They had multitude of those things, and I got the one. I think I don't even think I got a second one. But I was hoping to go through and use it in this case. So I would think that the speed, being a parallel nature, would be a little bit quicker, but the serial side and IBM did that for a reason, because all the PS2s have a parallel port on the planar. That was something that IBM did, and that is helpful for the parallel port postcode reader. We'll see the phase difference here. And I still have that little short extension on there for like the executive workstation. But that was helpful for that, for using a parallel port postcode reader. And also they're bidirectional by their very nature. So you could go through and plug in that data migration facility, and it could receive data over that link from elsewhere. And really, as I say on that data migration facility page, it's effectively the older system that you have the printer cable connected from. It's basically just printing to the file output, basically to the PS2. And it'd be good even to measure that speed once I get the data migration facility set up, of how long it takes for that transfer. And I don't know if it's even in the pinout, it's got some loopbacks there. I don't know, for instance, that busy line that was talked about, of I'm missing that pin on my data migration facility. There's not a send and receive signals there as far as request to send and clear to send interaction between the systems. A lot of time it's just that older system is just blindly sending data out the parallel port, that the program at the other end on the PS2 that received 3.5 just goes through and accumulates and everything else. And there's so many constraints on that too, about you don't want to copy over the command.com. You don't want to corrupt your boot files on the receiving system, of course. And I'm sure it's very limited on directory structures and things like that. But I wanted to go through and even have it connected and go through and transfer over the files of that UNPC program, that just to get the IO port viewer and things like that set up. And okay, contacted with 2 comments titled "Showing Off the Model 30 Max 30" and looking at the port read. Okay, so that'll give me an idea of where to look. Like I say, I'm surprised I didn't see the comments. That really throws me. And I know that there's even one individual is having trouble when he's making comments on my video, that YouTube was squashing those as well. Wasn't even links or anything else. But that's an exercise that we need to get into later on as I go through and get the data migration facility working, to measure that speed of transfer would be a good thing to see. Now, it's interesting because for the PS2 compositions too, the microchannel models have that serial port on the planar as well, and that on the UART, on the serial UART that's on the microchannel PS2s, is always the 16550. It's always got that 16 byte FIFO buffer, first in, first out, and that helps, of course, with a lot of speeds. On the Model 25 and 30, the especially for those 8086 versions, it's an 8250 UART that's on those. So the serial transfers, it would be capable of doing some of the modem level speeds and transferring, in particular like the 56K or something like that. Whether it'd be able to do the 115K, what remains to be seen, since it's an 8250 UART. But I do even have other cables, serial cables. I've even got like a lap link and other programs I have access to that I could do a comparison side by side of what the speeds are there as well. Um, yeah, LapLink, FastLink, InterServer was the Microsoft utility that was included with MS-DOS. And so really for for serial 10 KB, okay, parallel over 1 megabit. And that sounds about right. I mean, and we have to remember the early baseband adapters of computers were 1 megabit or rated at 1 megabit. Whether they really had that as sustained transfer remains to be seen. And then I've talked about on the Max 30, it'd be interesting to go through and pull out the VGA board off of there and just go back to the MCGA video perhaps and put on like a network adapter, token ring. The other angle I could do is using the parallel port is I could go through and do one of the Zircom network adapters. And so that parallel port, I wanted to look at zip drives was one angle too that I talked about early on in the live stream. And so I want to go through and get those set up on my 8086 based system. That'd be another way to transfer files to those parallel port zip drives and using the Palm zip driver. That's one thing I want to try out. And I want to look at the networking angle and token ring. Remember, I saw 4 megabit top speed kick up. So token ring initially came out in the 4 megabit per second speed. And you could only have, for token ring, you can't have mixed ring speeds. So, and they made an 8-bit adapter that was the 4 megabit per second for your PC systems, including the MAL 30. And they made, and of course, the microchannel systems had token ring adapters that were the 4 megabit initially, and then went to the 16 megabit token ring. But they do have 8-bit adapters that are the 16 megabit per second for the MAL 30. And that's going to be a matter of what the CPU on the system is capable of, whether it's, it's probably not going to be able to sustain a 16 megabit per second speed, but it's worth a try. I do have boards for that to put in the system, and it's be interesting to get the MAL 30 in a network connection or have a network style. I think for just the basics, I would go with the Zircom adapter. I want to go through and use the parallel port is the unused aspect of the MAL 30 that I have here on the bench. Although I do have that SCSI, remember I have the ability on this MAL 30. It's great because I have that 1 gigabyte drive plus I have the external CD-ROM drive that is here too. And so this can even go through and I can read the CD-ROMs. So it's easy enough for me to get files onto the MAL 30. It's just I can't get them off of here and get them over to the MAL 25 right now. I don't know what the issue is for that. But I'll work more on that. And I was even thinking, I don't know if I'll go through for the chat's going really lively now. I don't know if for the end here, whether I'll go through and connect on. In fact, I'd like to go through and since we have the MAL 30, I want to see what is left. I went through and I tried to format, of course, this. This is going to be a way to do it. Okay. So let's look at what, in fact, I want to do even I want to see what the UMPC. Okay. So it shows about a megabyte of files all told. Although I'm sure I can condense that down to particular files I need to transfer over. Let's see what the B drive. Okay. So that did that. It saved when I did the I didn't have that /u in there, so it saved the contents of the drive. So these but see, we have a perfectly readable disk that we copied files to from the Mall 30 that the Mall 25 just didn't want to read. And that just really throws me. Why? Okay, so let's do directory B again. And this is probably unformatted. Okay. So let's do that. Let's go through B and we'll do the /u. Okay, just B : then. Okay, and this is a new diskette as we saw, formatting 360 KB. And that may have been why I wanted to go through and try formatting this on the Model 25. And so I don't think even despite this being the B drive, I don't think there's ever aspects of booting off the B drive, of course, from DOS. Okay. Yeah, who knows? Okay, so we don't want to do. Let's do another. And you can, I don't know if you can hear the clicks of the 4869 drive. Yeah, it's not necessary with the unformatted. Yeah, it's faster. And that's just something that Microsoft included in that unconditional format um, switch that so and I don't need to put it back in the jacket, but I need to what I want to do is we're actually going to go through and we can power off the Mall 30. It's bugging me why it wouldn't copy over these from the 5.25-inch diskette, because it's a known good drive. It's a known good disk. And I was thinking I could format the stuff under so we're retitling the stream as formatting diskette formatting issues. We're going to try this again. And hopefully I got the in fact, just in case I didn't, I'm going to even go through a whole boot cycle again, because I didn't get the diskette, this 4869 drive. I didn't get it on until I'd already gone through the post. And I just want to make sure that everything is initialized correctly. We should see the access light come on for the, I guess I'm in the way. I didn't do a, because otherwise this is a stock. Okay, and there's only one. There's only one BIOS version for my backspace key stuck down. Okay. Copy the I don't know if I'm frustrated with my typing right now or not either. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Going through, and I should have tried that earlier. Okay. So we have, I was just going to do the stream. I was going to say, I'm going to continue on in the angle of, in the interest of, okay. So we've got the copied over. Let's do this. Power down that. Power down this. And I realize I just have my webcam is the only video source right now. I need to go through, and I could even get more elaborate to where in the future where I can do video capture and the camcorder at the same time and things like that. But okay, so I'm going to do another blind okay. So power up that. Power up that. Power up that. Okay, and I want to get back to the data migration facility. Page. So we're doing kind of for the live stream, we're kind of doing filler content now as it is, or just a continuation of the stream. I'm going to try and do my original intentions of copying over files. There's the data migration facility link again. Certainly people are welcome to break away. Wow. And this is not supposed to be sexual in any kind of way. This shirt is kind of thin. I don't mean to look like a woman in that area, but maybe I do. I have my moobs, and I'm certainly not excited or anything else. It may be a little bit chilly. So we have our mull 25 going. I'm going to go through and and I'll have to learn the, okay, so we do, okay, copy path. Okay, so we're going to do, we've got to start up the receive. My mull 30 didn't boot up because I had the diskette in there, not a system diskette. Okay. So, and the thought is, even with the with this data migration facility, it'd be even interesting to whether we could have a CD in the drive and through, because it transfers, you give a path statement, drive and path, that it's even possible that we could send files from the CD to the mull 25. Wouldn't that be a kick? Okay, so I think we have to start up. Okay, ready to receive files. And you know what? I don't even think I've gone through and used this utility so much in the past. Yeah, SDI. I need a more better video setup, and I'm working forward for that. I've actually got pretty good. I did pretty good so far. And so what we'll do on the Model 20 or Model 30, I'm trying to look at what's the best. I think this way is the best because it even gives me a good view of both things here. I can do the, remember we have the is it like a send? Oh, it's copy 3.5, and then you give, I'm looking even at the, so it'll even be interesting because we don't have a UNPC directory set up over on the mull 25 right now. So I want to do C UNPC dit dot dit. Okay. And let's see if we can create and it has a drive-in path, and this should be actually the receiving system. It shouldn't go through and confuse the mul 30 that I'm actually going through and trying to transfer files. I realize you can't see. I've got copy 3.5 space C colon backslash UNPC backslash dit. My UPS is kicking over. To C colon backslash UNPC. And that is a thought of being over on the mul 25. Okay. Invalid directory. Okay. So if we do any key or escape, escape. Okay. So if we, looks like we have to, okay. So let's go through and make our, and I realize I'm typing extra that I may not need to do, but so, and then we'll go through and do our receive 3.5 again. Okay, ready to receive files. Okay, so let's do our copy 3.5 C. So it doesn't create the directory structure on the receiving end. And that probably is very understandable. It's a very simplistic way to copy files. Okay, so path UNPC. I wish I could go through and show. In fact, I wonder for all that. Well, I was going to do like a mode 30 just to go through and make it bigger text, but I realized for the webcam it can't be seen. UNPC backslash dit to C colon backslash UNPC on the receiving mul 25. Okay, let's try that now. Okay, so we're seeing it doesn't really look too fast, but it's able to do it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the file sizes. We're ultimately transferring over about 1 megabyte of data. And the way to do this might even be to okay, so there is our view of what our mul 30 is doing. Okay. And here and of course it'd just be MCGA video. I have to get the remote control output down there for my clear click. So yeah, this is not fast. So okay, so that box, that dongle that's on the mul 25 is a it has the pinout, and they include the pinout actually in the manual. all I did was scan it over, and that was years and years ago. So they include all this for insertion into your binder, your system binder, and of course the license and the diskette sleeves for holding it. And I need to go through and scan these pages too, but I went through and I scanned the they showed the pinout. They actually have the pinout in there. So here is, the scheme. Here is and there's the system requirements. And then they have the diagram and that dongle showing there. And they go through preparations for file transfer instructions, and actually some very detailed, more text than what the Ardent tool has for this manual. But yeah, it'd be good. I mean, this is a really short manual. It'd be easy for me to scan to PDF. Okay, so here we have the wiring diagram. So, and I had to even think of the last, okay, so that's been everything transferred over successfully. Let's do this. I'm picking up the quick reference. And I don't want my microphone to mute here either. It didn't tell me it muted, and I still have audio. So it even has a quick reference. And I'll need to scan those. I'm going to scan those. But I thought about switching over to the camcorder there is the scanned diagram inside that dongle. And there's no pin 11 there on the on either side of that. Or excuse me, on the 25 pin kit side, especially for that broken or that removed pin 11, I think it's 11, is removed. And I think the lap link stuff, the other parallel link cables are very similar. And this probably doesn't use the nibble mode. You can use with the zip drive, the driver for that, and you can work with the older non-bidirectional ports, unidirectional parallel ports, that you can put it into nibble mode, which takes more time, but it goes through and works with like the 4-bit nibbles rather than the bytes. So you don't even have to open up the dongle. You've got the pin out otherwise, and you could do a straight through. You could do a lap link style cable, 25 pin to 25 pin. And even I have some parallel transfer cables that I can go through and check the pin out as well, to make sure that those are have the pins in the same routing that big old dongle does on the Model 25. But we finished copying files, and it brings up the aspect of, okay, we're going to press escape. I got my Space Saver keyboard to return to DOS. I don't understand. And my Google Assistant is telling me it doesn't understand. I didn't think I said anything. But we can see those files now that we have on the hard drive of the Mul 25. This is where I wanted to be. It's where I wanted to be an hour ago. Or, well, yeah, 10, even more than an hour ago. I think it's the point where I gave up and said that I couldn't transfer files over. And so we're going to find out what the Mul 25 with MCGA video. Okay. And that is maybe expected. So because it probably is very intensive. I'm trying to think of another way. I mean, I can go through and I could run, and we didn't. I don't think that that goes through and verifies files either. Is the interesting thing. So we could do. Let's do serial type. Okay. So, and that's correct. It shows the. It's an 8250 that's on the Mul 25 planer. Um, And the UNPC program, that's the IO port reader itself, actually, as it is. Um, and there's even the serial slow. You can go through and you can you can slow down or speed up. And this may not have all. I thought that there was a. Oh, it's still there's still. Okay, here's our EXEs. It might be interesting for the CPU types or something like that. PRN swap. There's all kinds of so even for PRN type. Okay. And then is it CPU type? And that may cause it to just lock up. Yeah, it says I didn't like that. Oh, okay. That gave a hard drive error again. So it looks like for the hard drive that we've got in there, that proprietary, probably 20 megabyte drive, is just not capable of doing too much. Or and so maybe that even needs like a SCSI drive or something else to go through. um yeah, we're going to be limited on what we can see. The IO spy, I think that that's a more limited port viewing type. So the little com files and stuff like that, they appear that they work good. Let's even see. I want to see what costs. Okay, so 6.22. So we should have MSD. Yeah, hard drive is just said, oh, I'm struggling. Okay. And realize I can go through and I'll hide myself temporarily. Let's see for like and it's funny for this, it doesn't misidentify this as it identifies an IBM PS2 Model 25 correctly. Isn't that funny? And yeah, copy it to floppy and start from there would be a thought from that 360 KB diskette that I could try. And that's going to be just about as fast as the hard drive here. um, but it goes through and identifies that all correctly. Memory. Okay. And for that C800, that's the diskette drive, the 4869 adapter BIOS ROM extension. And then we see the ROM BIOS there. And no network, MCGA video. So actually, this looks more correct than MSD that was run on the MAL 30 for all that. So that's interesting things. And I didn't realize it was loading the mouse driver here. Well, it detected the mouse, but I don't think I have the mouse driver loaded. Any other adapters? Game adapters not detected. Disk drive. Let's see. And of course, MSD is showing for the parallel ports incorrectly. COM ports. And disk drives. So I did a D for disk drive. I thought I did a D. Working. Okay. So there we have the things identified and that 20 megabyte drive. Okay. I don't want to run through any of the RQ or TSR programs, device drivers, because that'll probably seize it. So we'll just do an Alt F exit. And so what is the size? So that would fit on the 360 KB diskette if we went through. Okay, so we're going to go through. I didn't realize I didn't put myself back up on the screen here. I'm going to go through to put myself back on camcorder. Okay, so viewing the MUL 30 screen. Okay, we're going to do a copy UNPC to RB. So just as a check, let's go to our B drive. And we're going to run our UNPC from our B drive. Now, under MCGA, this is the VGA version of UNPC because it's got all the nice graphics. It's a little bit more, it's text mode when it's full screen for MCGA. But it is able to run from diskette. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so what we're going to do, power off, and I can probably leave the MUL 30 running. You know, it's probably good to go through and power stuff down when you're switching connections. I would recommend you do this stuff at your own risk, as it were. I'm switching stuff hot, as it were. Now, I'm going to go through. We're going to power up, but of course, we're going to have to go through and let me get myself back up on the screen. So whoever stuck around for all this, that's thank you. And we can probably get, let's even go through. I'm just kind of debating. I can at least get back on the C drive or something. Okay. Yeah, because I want to run the MUL 30. I want to see. Okay. So if we go through, put that in the B drive, okay. And so we go to B and we go UNPC. On the MUL 30, we're going to run the UNPC program. Get my keyboard straight again. Now the MUL 25 has an 8086 8 megahertz in it. And the MUL 30 that I have here has a NEC V30 CPU. I don't know if we're still loading on the MUL 25. Off in La La Land, it appears. So we're still encountering, yeah, and numlocks or you can sometimes do the keyboard state as a way of understanding whether the system is operational or not. I agree. Yeah, and that's another thing. But remember, I ran it on the Model 30 from diskette. The Model 30 is identical. Otherwise, I mean, it's MCGA video, which is different to the Model 25. It doesn't have the real-time clock. You know, it's got the AST clock driver that's TSR that's running. So there's other angles there. Yes. I want to do, first I want to do again the MSD. I'll go through and I can okay, and I'm going to do the D for disk drives again. So there's that B drive of the 4869-001 360 KB drive. And so, and let's see for TSR programs, because that AST clock, okay, I guess it doesn't show the AST clock program. I thought that was a TSR. And yes, you know, for the free memory, you know, it's got that 6-pack, that AST 6-pack board on there, so it's got more memory than a conventional Model 25, showing there as the and I don't know where that AST 6-pack plus, I don't know where it maps the RAM. I think it's got RAM on there. Let me get myself back up on the screen. Yeah, this has been a little bit of a roller coaster ride for the aspect of the running the UNPC program. And so I may just want to look at debug for yeah, it acts like it wants to read up to a certain point. And of course, the aspect is brought up of the keyboard indicator lights. The Space Saver keyboard does not have indicator lights on it for your caps lock, your num lock, and your scroll lock. You're doing it blind a lot of the time of whether you're doing that, especially for the num lock aspect is particularly critical because in the center section of your keyboard is your numbers, your effective num, your numbers area is transposed over here to, and then you have the Alt key to do those areas. So yeah, it looks like it just gets up to a certain point. And anyway, if you do a Control Delete on the system and it doesn't, that doesn't bring it around, then clearly it is a the system is locked. The only other thing I thought of is running like the debug utility, but it very well could be with the MCGA and things like that, that everything is just not equal between this Model 25. And both of them, by the way, have the FPU installed. The she just told me that my mic was muted. So yeah, if anybody has to go through and bail, that's fine. Um, and as I say, really at this portion in the stream, and it's afternoon effectively for me now here too, and I haven't even eaten my breakfast, but I'm trying to go through. One of the aspects I want to look at, I can just go through and I can use debug, and I can do a in for port 40. I can do an in for port 40. So we are seeing that that turns over effectively compared to the mall 30. This is that 0040 area that was said to be a real-time clock IO port on that Vogons page, but I think it's just part of the system timer for that area. I think just the let's do an input for 41. Let's do input for 41 again. So these are turning over. Input for 42. Input for 42. So these are turning over the same way that they would on the mall 30 as it's showing the IO port viewer. I know that's hard to see that screen, but we're checking the same registers compared between the two locations. And of course, if we look at things like port E0, we do not see any real-time clock there. That makes sense. Now, I don't know, and that's why I hope to see the full screen IO port viewer, because I don't remember off the top of my head where that AST 6-pack plus has. I don't remember where AST put that real-time clock chip, what IO port registers it's on, off the top of my head. And yeah, it's for being a 20 megabyte model that's on the Mall 25, that original proprietary drive. It's lucky it even works at this point. And I am aware that going through and putting stress and strain on it is probably not very good. So, but what I'm saying is we're kind of confirming the obvious here, because we don't see anything for the real-time clock, of course. I'm trying to, we can do an input of 65, and there we have 9E. And remember, I had that image before of, in fact, it's so there, get the right source. There we go. So there is our port 65 hex, and it's giving back a result of 9E, which is effectively, again, that parallel port output enable select is, and the two reserved bits are set to 0. Serial port select is on. So that's our 9. Our E value is everything but the last bit. So that is the diskette controller, the MCGA video. Okay, parallel port. Yeah, so that's showing that's a different E. That's supposed to mean that that hard drive controller is different. And I can't figure that out because it's got both the AST board in there and it's got the and the 4869. There's no adapter available for that Model 25 to run a different other than the proprietary hard drive. Why is it giving us a 9E? That should be a 9F. It should be a 9F. We'll have to I'll have to go through and look on the insides of that Model 25 because that's nutty. And then and then for 66 hex, that's for that keyboard and mouse port, the port 1 and 2, giving us an A4, which sounds about right. If you go through and you invert the ports, okay, remember the 66 is an A4. This I'll go through and I will power the unit down. Swap our ports. Okay. Power up. Okay. It's a good thing we got the data migration facility working. There's one benefit. Okay. Okay. And we go, let's do an input of 65 just to kind of see. 9E. I don't know why it's not identifying that proprietary hard drive controller is being in use because that and so remember we just swapped the keyboard and mouse. So now it's AC. It's A4 with the keyboard in port 1 and the mouse in port 2 and AC hex when the mouse is in port 1 and the keyboard is in port 2. So it's the same as the Model 30, and just that having the numbers 1 and 2 on the back of the ports, that shows that's correct. Just yeah, like I say, that's a makes me wonder why the proprietary hard drive is not showing there. And other than me looking on the internet for what the IO registers of the IO port registers of the AST clock board inside there, because I wanted to do a side by side for that as well, just to kind of show the different conventions of how okay, so I'm going to get out of the phase difference. Let's get image display. We can get that off. Our built-in webcam, we can get that off. I wish I was a little bit more aligned left, as it were, but I have that screen of what so yeah, this point in the stream, what we're doing is it's just investigation at this point. And whoever has other obligations, that's fine. This will be available in replay. I need to go through and I'll need to end the stream at some point here just for the aspect of getting something to eat. But this does have me curious in so many ways. Of what, that's a big long screwdriver. I don't necessarily need something that long. And the bit's not the best on it. On these Model 25s, when I go through and pull these two screws, I put them up in that little recess that's used for as kind of a carry point or a place where you put your fingers to heft this thing around. You'd have to remember to pull the screws out of there. Okay. And you can see, and yeah, it looks like it's, you can see that PS 10 module that's there for the video out, just barely off the, just right at the edge of the screen there. And this ROM BIOS, this is a Type 1 planar, and it has the even cloth stickers over the ROMs there. And this has, I mean, this is the hard drive side. It's got the 20 megabyte drive in there. Oh, and I have to remember, that's the full-sized, that is the full-sized 720 KB drive. And so I'll be getting in here anyway to work with that diskette drive. I've got to get some of those 720 KBs drives working. But nice cable folds and everything else for the I'll have to do the part numbers for these cables, because this is excellent cable layout for what this is. And you can almost see it's almost like a factory for the B drive, even coming off and going down for the Model 25, of having to interconnect over here as being where the floppy drive controller cable is put out of this side of the planar. And we see that 4869 board at the very top for accessing our external diskette drive. And it's using the internal hard drive. So who knows why this thing is going through and doesn't have that 9F in there for the the system, the planar functions. And it's got RAM on this AST board. And that should show in the MSD utility as being extra RAM that's there. So I don't know why that's not really showing up either. But there's a look inside, and I'll have to work with this small 25, I think, a little bit to figure out why. I was wanting to look too. So the CPU, that's all going to be below the adapters, I think, for this type 1. The that I'll have to go through and investigate that a little bit more for that. But so this is a pretty good live stream. We saw finally that that data migration facility worked for us. We kind of saw some of the transfer speeds, as it were. We didn't get the UNPC IO port reader to work, even though we copied it over. And I'll have to investigate a little bit more on that. I agree. Probably running it from diskette is a good way to do things anyway. And rather than from that hard drive, but it's something to the ports or some other thing that says, I ain't going to do it. And that's just for a comparison between the MAL 25 and MAL 30 IO ports. Well, and I haven't even eaten my breakfast yet, Hugh. And so, and that's the nice thing about the older IBM systems, that they had the cable routing for the configurations that they did. The cable routing was very good. It had to be. They had little cutouts in the case on the sides of the MAL 25 that for all the cables to go in different ways. And so they did all that cable routing really, really good. So, and then let's get back to some earlier questions here, or earlier chat level stuff. Okay, so that Vogon's comment you linked to doesn't mention port 40. And I don't know what, okay, so down in the real-time clock section, it does. It mentions the, and again, the link for that Vogon's page is this. Okay. Now, down towards the real-time clock section. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Port B0 to BF is the real-time clock. I was mistakenly thinking that they were saying port 40. I must have been lacking some sleep or something at that point. So B0 to BF, that shows up on the MAL 30, and I would have to look through. On the MAL 30, it's showing that B0 is just 00. All the other items on that row of the 00B0 row are just FF. Okay, there's a 01, I guess, in field B4. So I would have to get looking. That would be a good debug comparison of what those registers are. I'd have to go through and reconnect up the MAL 25 to do a debug comparison on the MAL 25 to those ports. But yeah, I was confused about port 40. I was seeing that turnover. I was thinking that they're saying that it's the real-time clock when actually that's just a timer area. But I'll go through and check that. And then the other comment that RTC CMOS might be on port 70 hex. So, and it's spelled out here, of course, in chat is 0x70, meaning 70 hex. So the 8086 level of the MUL 25 and MUL 30, especially for the MUL 25, not having a real-time clock, it doesn't have CMOS. It doesn't have a real-time clock on port 70 at all. Not anything like the IBM AT systems or 286, plus units for all the other systems that have that CMOS RAM, that effectively that Motorola chip, the 146818 real-time clock chip, or the Dallas module, or whatever replacement compatible area for that CMOS storage. The MUL 25 and MUL 30 do not have that. And so they don't store any configuration information in the system. They go through the MUL 25 and MUL 30 are unique, that they boot up and they have that IO port register 65. That's where they do all the equipment tracking of what sort of systems are connected up. Now, I could go through on the MUL 25. I mean, I could change some adapters around. I could go through and make it so it runs a SCSI hard drive or something else to go through there and just as a way to run that real-time clock. And I'd like to run that full screen IO port viewer, just like I can on the MUL 30. And it should, for all the differences there between there's only a few differences between the MUL 25 and MUL 30, and I can't think of why it's having problems running that UMPC program. It could be the MCGA video, could be something to the hard drive being non-standard or something else like that. I can't boot from the A drive to disconnect that hard drive and boot from the A drive and then run the UNPC program from diskette or something like that would be one option. And I want to go through and I want to see what the AST clock, what IO registers are for that. But it's getting to where the stream has been running for more than an hour and a half. I'm getting hungry. I realize that other people have to move on. I really thank for everyone for sticking with it and viewing and even an extended live stream like this of going through and viewing. I wasted a lot of time in the initial copying of the files over to the MUL 25, and in the end figuring out that that didn't work anyway. But I have that data migration facility set up now on the MUL 25 to be able to transfer over files from other systems, at least. And if maybe even if there's a way to go through that's more of a full screen or gives a little bit more better view, I can do that. So rather than just running through debug a single port at a time or something like that, I wanted to do a cross comparison to kind of see. So and that means a lot to me, Jesse, when you say that about love the content, because it's a live stream and it's warts and all. It just as it comes to me is how I show it. The stuff that gives me problems, maybe I could be a little bit more prepared, but I like going through and having problems crop up in a way, because I like thinking in a mode that I've got to react to that. I've got to have a plan B. I've got to have a plan C. I've got to have a way to react to those errors and know when I'm ahead of the game and know when I'm behind and can't get any further on a particular aspect and just give up and move on. Um, so I'll look through the. Thank you for bringing up about the contact from the MK Archer. I know that Tom wants to be aware of who that is as well, so we can go through and give better credit. Thank you for the correction of that port B0 to BF that I was misreading on that page. Yeah, it is more fun, and I like showing just a human nature of this and showing problems that can crop up on these systems because they do that. They give you all sorts of grief and they act up and everything else. Um, and I'll try and in this upcoming week I'll try and have some more video content out and everything else where I only touched on certain aspects of what I wanted to do for this IO port stuff. In a way, it ended up being more of a description of the data migration facility, which needed to be done as well. But that's what live streams are for, and adjustments and showing different content and moving on from an area if you don't get too far. So thank you for everybody for tuning in. I think it's been a great live stream, and there'll be other live streams coming up from others today, and there'll be other live streams coming up from me on this regular schedule. So, this is IBM Museum. That's all I have for now. Thank you.